It starts like any other morning until everything changes. A black woman walks into a courthouse composed, collected, and with no idea that the law itself is about to turn against her. To them, she's just a face in the crowd. They mock her, strip her dignity, and laugh while doing it, but they don't realize who they're messing with. She's not just another citizen. She's the one woman with the legal power to bring the whole system down. What comes next is a wave of reckoning, legal fire, hidden truths, and a courtroom twist you won't see coming. Stay right there. You're not ready for this story. And tell us, where are you tuning in from, and what time is it? Drop it in the comments now. It was shortly after 8 a.m. when Celeste Monroe stepped out of her silver Buick and climbed the worn steps of the Charleston Federal Courthouse. The sun peeked through draping Spanish moss, casting golden streaks along the stone. She adjusted the collar of her tailored navy blazer, tightened her grip on a thin leather portfolio, and moved forward with intent. Her heels clicked with quiet authority. She never wore her robe outside chambers. It was her quiet rebellion, to enter spaces as a citizen, measured and watchful. But that morning, no one saw a judge. No one acknowledged her authority. To them, she was just another black woman in a place where justice wasn't freely given. The mood shifted the second she approached security. Deputy Hank Riker, a courthouse bailiff known for his outdated ways, spotted her and immediately stiffened. He didn't recognize her and didn't care to. He raised a thick arm, blocking her path. "Ma'am," he grunted, "you need to step aside." Celeste halted. "Is there an issue, officer?" she asked. Riker's eyes swept her, from her neat silver locks to the clean lines of her slacks. Something about her unsettled him, like she wasn't supposed to belong. "No badge on display," he muttered. "You can't just walk in dressed like that." Calmly, Celeste pulled her credentials from her blazer. The federal badge caught the light. Riker barely looked. He took it and slipped it into his pocket. Her brow arched. "I'd like that returned," she said. He smirked. "What's the hurry, sweetheart?" The word dripped with insult. A young female officer by the scanner shifted, tense but silent. She saw what was happening but said nothing. "I need to reach my courtroom," Celeste stated. "Then follow my lead," Riker snapped, "including random checks." He grabbed her upper arm and pulled her down a quiet hall, away from the main line, into a side screening room. No windows. Just cold walls, a steel chair, some equipment, and a pair of clippers sitting ready. Celeste's heart thudded. "I don't consent," she said sharply. "You've no grounds for this." "Acting suspicious is grounds," he muttered, gesturing to the chair. "Sit." She stood still. He leaned closer. "That badge you flashed doesn't mean anything? Not to me." Two more officers entered. One was younger, bald, clearly unsure. He grabbed her wrist. Another held the chair. Celeste raised her voice. "This is unlawful. I want your names." No one spoke. Riker grabbed the clippers. "What are you doing?" she barked. "Standard check," he said. "You could be hiding something in that hair." Celeste moved to rise, but firm hands held her down. It begins like any ordinary morning, until it turns into anything but. A black woman steps into a courthouse, composed, graceful, and entirely unaware she's about to be mistreated by those who claim to serve justice. To them, she's a nobody. They degrade her, violate her, and laugh while doing it. But what they don't realize is that they've just targeted the worst possible person, because she's not just anyone. She's someone who holds the power to bring their entire system down. What follows is a storm of reckoning, exposure, and a legal twist that no one sees coming. Stay with us, because what happens next is going to leave you speechless. And hey, drop a comment below with your city and what time you're watching this. It was just past 8 a.m. when Celeste Monroe stepped out of her silver Buick and climbed the steps of Charleston's federal courthouse. The morning sun peeked through the moss-covered oaks, casting slow-moving shadows. She adjusted her navy blazer, held her leather portfolio tightly, and walked with measured calm. Her heels clicked softly, each step deliberate. She never wore her robe outside, always choosing to arrive as a citizen, watchful and understated. But today she wasn't welcomed with respect. She wasn't even acknowledged as someone who belonged. She was seen as just another black woman entering a place that had never freely handed over its power. Near the security gate, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Deputy Hank Riker, a bailiff known for his stiff demeanor, squinted as she neared the checkpoint. He didn't recognize her. Worse, he didn't care to. He stepped forward, arms crossed, raising a hand to stop her. "Ma'am," he said curtly, "you'll need to step aside." Celeste paused briefly. "Is there a reason, officer?" Riker didn't respond immediately. He scanned her appearance, from her neatly styled silver hair to her pressed slacks to her steady eyes. Something about her irritated him. She looked like she belonged, and in his world, that had to be corrected. "No visible ID. You can't just stroll in here looking like that," he grumbled. Without flinching, Celeste reached into her blazer and presented her federal ID. The badge caught the light, but Riker barely glanced at it before sliding it into his pocket. Celeste raised an eyebrow. "I'd like that returned." He stepped in, voice low and mocking. "What's the rush, sweetheart?" The insult was sharp. A younger guard near the scanner shifted uncomfortably, sensing tension, but said nothing. "I have a courtroom to reach," Celeste said firmly. "Then you'll follow my procedures," Riker snapped, "including extra checks." Before she could reply, he grabbed her arm and led her away from the main corridor. Into a side room, cold and silent. A steel chair stood at its center, surrounded by scanning gear and clippers that sat unused. Celeste's heartbeat quickened. "I don't consent to this," she said calmly. "You have no grounds to detain me." "You're acting suspicious," he replied, pointing at the chair. "Sit." She remained still. He leaned in. "That badge you flashed means nothing in here." Two more guards entered, one grabbing her wrist, the other gripping the chair. Celeste's voice rose. "You're violating my rights. I want your names." No one responded. Riker picked up the clippers. "What are you doing?" she asked, alarmed. "Standard procedure," he said. "Might be hiding something in that hair." Celeste tried to rise, but was shoved back. The clippers whirred to life, a cold, buzzing swarm that swallowed the silence. Before she could protest, she felt them against her scalp. A thick silver lock fell, then another. She gasped, but didn't cry, didn't shout, didn't even blink. She sat still as her dignity was stripped away, strand by strand. The hair gathered on the floor like the past being torn off her body. A chuckle rose from one guard. "Looks better already." Riker wiped his sleeve. "Next time, show some respect. You look presentable now." Celeste's fists curled in her lap, knuckles tight, but her voice came back, cold and certain. "You'll regret this," he sneered. "They always say that." And just like that, it was over. Riker opened the door, smirking. "You're free. Courtroom's down the hall." Celeste rose slowly, only a slight tremble in her hands. She retrieved her ID silently and stepped into the hallway. Her steps were even, face unreadable. But something burned in her chest. Not just rage, but intent. And in moments, that intent would flip everything. Because what Riker didn't know was this. She wasn't there to watch. She wasn't a defendant. She wasn't there for anyone's judgment. She was the judgment. She was the judge. And her seat on the bench was waiting. The clipper's buzz still echoed in her mind. Each step to the courtroom heavier, not from fear, but fury tightly bound. Her scalp tingled where her proud silver locks had once lived. Hair grown with care, rooted in history, now gone. Only uneven patches remained. The hallway was too quiet. Two clerks glanced up, then quickly away. They knew. Maybe they'd seen. But they said nothing. She kept walking. She wouldn't give them the moment they were hoping for. Ahead, voices hummed beyond the courtroom doors. It was a big case. Police misconduct. Brutality during a protest. National attention. Normally, she'd enter through private chambers. Her robe waited. Staff prepared. All formalities set. But not today. Today, she rewrote the script. She paused outside the doors, exhaled, and pushed them open. The room froze. Conversations halted. Heads turned. Realization dawned in waves. Her heels echoed through the space as she walked past rows of attorneys, press, and spectators. Some gawked. Some stared in disbelief. At the front, the judge's bench, her bench, stood empty. And then it clicked. The woman they had seen mistreated wasn't a guest. She was the judge. Celeste stepped up, turned, and faced them all. Her expression was emotionless. Not peace, but control. Someone dropped a pen. Riker, still stationed at the door, froze. When their eyes met, he went pale. His mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Celeste didn't blink. She reached for her robe, folded over the chair. She dressed herself. No ceremony, no assistance. The fabric draped over her shoulders like armor. She faced the clerk. "Is the docket ready?" The clerk stammered, Yes, Your Honor." Celeste nodded, lowered herself into the seat. She never once looked at Riker, not yet. "We begin with preliminary testimony in Case 2371F, United States versus Charleston Police Department," she said coolly. "Charges include abuse of authority and violation of civil rights. Are all parties present?" A chorus of "Yes, Your Honor" followed. Attorneys shifted uncomfortably, some shocked, others angry. Angry that she dared return. She ignored them. "We proceed." The first witness took the stand, a cop who had shoved an elderly veteran during a peaceful rally. Celeste listened, took notes, didn't speak. In the corner of her eye, she saw Riker inching toward the exit. His fingers twitched. He looked ready to vanish. He was right to worry. After the second witness, she called for a recess. The courtroom emptied in uneasy silence. Only her clerk, two officers, and Riker remained. She stayed seated. Then she spoke. "Deputy Riker." Her voice was a blade. He froze. "Step forward." He stammered, "Yes, Your Honor," and obeyed, moving like a man stepping off a ledge.